Hello, welcome to the weekly walkthrough. Sorry for the yawn, with me, the kid, here at Red Gaming Tech. So, really, as you know, the talk of the town, the only kind of big news this week is GTA 5. I do have a couple of other little bits to mention, but this is really going to be the majority of the video. So, this is going to be more of a GTA 5 review and kind of info about it more than anything, because really, if we, let's be real, there's not really much else to talk about this week. In terms of progress in the game, I'm just getting ready to. Well, I don't want to give away spoilers, but I'm a few missions in. I'm about 10% of the way through, I'd say. Just currently heading to a mission now, actually, and I've taken a wrong turn. Anyway, so I'm just going to cover some of the other things that are going on this week before I get into GTA. The first one is Diablo 3. Blizzard are basically planning and have basically decided to remove the auction house from the game. That's the real money auction house as well as the in-game auction house, so that means no more auction house whatsoever. Basically, I think the idea is that they want to move to a more kind of like a microtransaction model, kind of, and increasing like drop rates for rare weapons and things like that, and encouraging more player-to-player trading in game. Because I think people at the moment are relying too much on the auction house and just kind of buying all the items and not actually spending the time in the game to earn them. Which, I mean, with the microtransactions that they're proposing, you will be able to still just buy the weapons, but it makes it slightly less kind of like a part of the game. So basically, the auction house getting cut out, and it's going to encourage more active pursual of the items in game with higher drop rates and things like that. That's going to annoy a lot of people who kind of spent the time to find the items with the original drop rates and things and then put them in the auction house, because they now will be easier to get because you can't go and buy them at the auction house. But I think it's kind of cool that it'll encourage the kind of player-to-player trading that you used to see in Diablo 2. Like, that was like, it had its own economy. It was awesome. So basically, you'd all get together in kind of like the town square, and you'd basically just, trade items. So you'd have something awesome, someone else would have something even more awesome. So you give them your awesome thing with a few extra kind of bonus items thrown in, and Bob's your uncle. But yeah, so it looks like they're going to be going back to that sort of model. So for people who play Diablo 3, I haven't played it to myself, to be honest. They had a lot of problems at launch, and I just never got around to it. I'll probably get into it someday, but probably not anytime soon. But yeah, so for players of Diablo 3, that's going down, that news has kind of just dropped this week. In other news, the free period for Final Fantasy XIV players who purchased the original version of the game, obviously the Realm Reborn version of the game dropped a couple of weeks ago now, maybe even a little bit longer. It's been a little while. But there was a free period for people who bought the original game. Obviously, you get people who bought Final Fantasy XIV can get the game client for free. So you can get the game for free, but they gave a free period where you don't have to pay monthly fees to the people who bought the original, and that ends in the next week. So if you bought the original Final Fantasy XIV and you want to try out the new version of the game for free, you need to get that done in the next few days. Right, so really, there's not really much else to talk about, so I guess I'm just going to go into... two of the 5 items I had in the original video were GTA 5 related. I was going to mention that the map was leaked, but obviously the map's been well and truly leaked in that you can just buy the game and look at the map if you really want. And the other one was that they'd released some more details about GTA Online, which I will actually mention because GTA Online hasn't gone live yet. So they basically went into kind of how the character customization is going to work. So rather than just in GTA 4 Online, there was no character customization really. It was just you kind of got assigned a skin, and I think you could change your skin or choose a skin, but that was about it. You were just assigned a kind of random character. Whereas in GTA Online, which is the one that's going to be launching in a couple of weeks, you'll be able to create a custom character and choose their traits, but it's kind of done in a way that you kind of create a history for your character. So you kind of construct their personality and their skills and things out of their past. It's almost like you give them a story and you generate the stats that way. And they're also showing some of the ways that you can design kind of the look of the character. You have a lot more control over that than you did in the GTA 4 version. So, I mean, it's kind of old news by this week because that all dropped last week. But yeah, if you want to go check that out, there's extensive information all over the place. There's screenshots, popping up everywhere, showing the way you can customize things. I can sit here and describe it, but I'd say go and take a look at that if you're keen to play GTA Online. That drops in 2 weeks. Excuse me. I swear all I do in these videos is just belch into a microphone for 15 minutes. So that will be launching, roughly 2 weeks from now. The system's already implemented in the game. To join it, you access it through your mobile phone like you did in GTA 4. If you try and do it at the moment, you just get a message saying it's not live yet. So the game itself. So things that kind of jumped out at me immediately is the driving mechanics are greatly improved. Kind of driving cars in GTA 4 was almost like driving a boat. Like it, I'm sorry, I'm doing a mission. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. So the steering was really loose, or maybe it was the steering was tight. I don't know which word to use, but the steering was just off. And literally, the best thing I can equate it to is literally driving a boat. It was difficult. The cars would slide all over the place, and it just wasn't a fun time. So they've greatly improved the driving. They've brought back a lot of the different vehicle types that were removed from earlier games. So you've got GTA 4 had motorbikes, what am I on about? But they brought back planes, blimps. Well, blimps are new to the series, but there are now blimps. Things like bikes, like regular pedal bikes. There's a whole mess of vehicles. They've thankfully stripped out the there is still like a socializing side to it, but it's a lot less intrusive than it was in GTA 4, which kind of caused a lot of frustration for people. So you're not constantly getting like your character's friends phoning you every 2 seconds, interrupting things and telling you to go bowling with them and things like that. It's basically you can socialize with certain people, but it's pretty much optional. They kind of have this thing called Stranger in Nutcase or Stranger in Weirdo missions, which are random people you bump into around town who you can do little missions for, and then some of them you can recruit so that when you're doing a big heist, you can assign them to your kind of posse for doing the heist with. So you might meet a guy who you do a little job for, and he mentions that he's like a weapons specialist or whatever. So the next time you're doing a heist that you need weapons for, you can assign, if he's like, each person you can recruit has different stats, like for how good they are at their job, and if like next time you do a heist, you'll get to see their stats, and if they're really good, you can hire them for the heist even, which is pretty cool. So like they're like a lot of the missions are more customizable than in kind of past games. So that the missions, a lot of them you kind of have a lot more input into how they play out and things like that. In terms of who actually comes on the mission, normally with a lot of missions you only get 1 or 2 choices for how to approach the mission. Like, do you want to do it like all guns blazing, or do you want to be more kind of careful about it, which is kind of cool. So you have kind of some control over how it all plays out. Something else I thought was absolutely awesome is there. This might be a little bit of a spoiler, but not really, because you probably would guess anyway. But there are a lot of characters that return from previous GTA games, or the kind of GTA universe. They don't all necessarily appear in the game, but a lot of them are mentioned in the game or hinted at. So, for example, at one point, a character who I won't name mentions that he says something about an Eastern European guy who was making waves in Liberty City, which is obviously Nico from GTA 4. There are characters that appear in the game from previous games. I'm not going to mention any of those, and I still haven't finished the game by a long way, so I'd imagine there's still more to come. What else can I something else cool that I just found today, I just kind of happened to stumble across it, is that Grove Street from San Andreas is actually in the game. I'm not going to tell you where, you need to find it, but it's there. It doesn't look exactly how it did in San Andreas. It's kind of a reimagined version of it. I will give you a hint and tell you that the overpass that goes over the street is no longer there. It's not identical to how it was, but you will recognise it when you find it. And it is actually on the map. If you put the pointer on it on the map, it will say Grove Street on it. So definitely go and find that. Let me know when you do. So the swimming mechanics have also been worked upon. So I don't think you could swim in Vice City, but from San Andreas definitely onwards, you were able to swim. In this one, you're now able to go diving, so there's a whole underwater kind of world to explore. You can even get eaten by a shark, which is kind of cool. You actually get an achievement for getting eaten by a shark, or a trophy on PS3. which is pretty awesome. So basically, if you swim around long enough, the sharks kind of spawn randomly. I'm just climbing onto... there's jet skis. That's something else to mention. I'm just climbing onto one which is marked Speedophile, which is kind of cool. If I can figure out how to get on it. No. But yeah, so you can kind of go diving. Like, there's like loads of cool hidden stuff to find underwater. There's more water vehicles and things to mess around with. But yeah, they've kind of... the actual, like, the swimming part of the game has been kind of greatly improved upon. But it's swimming, you know. What do you expect at the end of the day? The map is vast. Unlike the previous games where the game's been kind of split across 3 big cities, the game literally contains one massive city, which is Los Santos, however you want to pronounce it, and the rest of the map is kind of scattered little towns in like a huge wilderness with some desert and everything. They've said that the map is larger than all the GTA games combined and Red Dead Redemption. I wouldn't agree with that. It's not that massive, but I would say it's about, at an estimate, about 2 to 4 times the size of the San Andreas map, I would say. It's kind of mountainous, you know, there's a bit of everything. Like in San Andreas, there's mountain regions, there's a desert region, there's cities. Yeah, that's really all you can say about the map, is that it's big and it only has one city. But you don't really feel like you don't really kind of massively notice the fact that there's only one city in the game, since the one city that is in the game is so vast. Let's see, what else can I tell you about it? Yeah, if I mentioned blimps earlier, if you bought the limited edition version of the game, like the collector's edition, you get a free blimp vehicle. So basically, when you enter your code, you get a code in the box for it. When you enter that, you get a few extra things as well with the blimp's pretty awesome. Once you enter your code, you'll get a phone call from a blimp company, and basically they'll tell you that you can ring them anytime and they'll arrange a blimp for you. So basically, at any point in the game, you can call and they'll deposit a blimp at like a number of preset places. So you can go and get in this blimp. And fly it around, and basically it's very, very slow, as you know, it's a blimp. What do you expect? But yeah, you can use that literally right from the start of the game. You can take that and you can fly around the whole map, see kind of all the landscape and stuff. You know, again, unlike previous GTA games, there aren't regions of the maps that are kind of not accessible from the start of the game. Basically, the whole map is completely accessible from the word go. So yeah, if you did get the collector's edition, get your blimp out and have a kind of fly around and see the sights, because there is a lot to see in this game. There's also a lot of leisure activities, tennis, golf, scuba diving, like I said, all that stuff, which is cool. But you know, it's not really a massively new thing to the series. But you know, they're still nice and they're still pretty competent mini games. Oh, I just failed the mission because I grounded my little boat. That sucks. Let's see, what else can I tell you? In terms of actual stock availability in shops, it's been really good. I haven't seen any stores I didn't see any stores that were sold out yesterday, and the game was still widely available today. So you know, if you haven't bought it yet and you still want to, I'd say get in quick. But you know, places aren't selling out all over the place just yet. I mean, I went to a midnight launch near me at Game. I had to wait 2 hours for the thing, because for some reason the managers there had basically insisted that the staff do the full kind of upsell spiel crap to every customer. So it took them about 5 minutes to process every customer. But yeah, I did get there in the end. It took me 2 hours. And actually the day after was the day I started my new day job, which kind of sucked. So I had to actually come home and go straight to bed, because it was about 2:30 in the morning and I had to be up for 7. So I didn't get to play it then, but I literally rinsed it yesterday evening. But yeah, I forgot what the point I was trying to make there was. I suddenly drifted off into fond memories. Yeah, there was easily 200 people there, and that's probably being conservative. And they had more than enough copies for everyone, including walk-ins and pre-orders. And when I left, I was one of the last customers. They said that they still had plenty of copies for the next day. So don't worry too much about your local stores selling out, but definitely do get in quick. There'll be a second production run out pretty soon, I'd imagine. So I'd say get in fast, because otherwise there's going to be that gap between the first run and the second run, and you might have to wait a few days to get a copy. So really, that Oh, and something else to mention is the mechanic with the three different characters. The game doesn't like start that way. Initially, it starts with one character, and the second character comes in pretty quickly, and then further down the line, then the third character comes in. But even once you get the first two characters going, which is pretty early in the game, you can then switch between them at any time outside of missions, and sometimes within missions if they're in the mission together. And basically, while you're not controlling them, they'll kind of live their own lives and do their own thing. So you might leave one of the characters somewhere, play with the other character for a bit, do some missions, switch back to the character you were with before, and you'll find them out partying or lying in a gutter or something. They kind of do their own stuff while you're not controlling them. There's also a wider variety of ways to earn money in the game, so there's not just like doing missions and like killing prostitutes and things like that. You can buy stock in companies. There's like a stock market system in the game. You can buy real estate. You can buy businesses like you could in Vice City and things like that. Getting a text message from I won't say the character's name. Anyway, so yeah, there are a lot more ways to make money, which makes it again in turn more realistic. So, can I think of anything else really? And each of the three characters has like I'm thinking this might be stuff you've already heard, but this is just giving my review on it. Well, yeah. So each character has a special skill. At this point in the game, I haven't had a chance to use all their special skills, but one of them, I forget his name. But one of them, for example, has a special skill where if you're like driving, you can activate his special skill, and for like a period everything will go into slow motion, so you can kind of much more easily maneuver the car like between traffic and stuff, which is pretty handy for like escaping police and things like that. As for what the other two characters have, I don't know yet. So that's kind of the main features to mention really. So as for my review of the game, like my opinion, it's absolutely fantastic. Definitely worth the purchase immediately. I reckon you're going to get hours and hours and hours out of this game, and then when online goes live, it's going to be a job for like hundreds of hours. I'd say this and BioShock Infinite are probably the two games I would say you absolutely have to play this year. As for numbers, like how many out of 10? I don't know. I don't like to kind of aggregate things that way. But you need to play it. You absolutely need to. Definitely if you've played the previous games in the series, because if not, you're totally missing out. If money's short, I know the feeling. I have to work two day jobs at the moment. If you're short of money, just if you've still got a rental place near you, go and rent it. You might be in competition with other people for it, but just even if that's all you can do, definitely get a rental and have a go. Over the weekend or whatever. It'll eat up your weekend. So really, that's all there is to say for this weekend. GTA 5 is incredible, as predicted. Diablo 3 auction house will be closing down, both real money trading and in-game currency, and the free trial period for Final Fantasy XIV ends within the next week. So I've, sorry for the only 3 items this week, but we did record the previous video. There was an unfortunate incident which I won't go into, and yeah, by the time it would, if I'd released it as it was, you'd be like, why is he telling me this stuff? The game's already out, and he's talking about like the map being leaked and stuff. So this is kind of an ad hoc one, and really there isn't much to talk about this week aside from GTA. So this has kind of been a GTA special of the weekly walkthrough. So I'll be back with another pick of the coming week's news next week. And thanks for listening. If you've got any opinions, post them in the comments. Thoughts about anything I've been talking about, thoughts on GTA, I guess. Also, get the guesses in for. Don't guess what game it is. I imagine someone's going to get it, but get those in the comments. If you think what the game is you're watching me play. Don't say GTA 5. It's not the game I'm actually playing. It's the game that you're watching me play on the screen and failing at miserably. So put those down in the comments. Opinions, any things you'd like me to talk about on the show. Opinions on the show, things like that. I want to take some feedback. I want to improve. I'm kind of new to the whole journalism thingy. My brother's actually a qualified journalist, funnily enough. I'm not. I'm a qualified programmer. Anyway, so this has been the weekly walkthrough with me, the kid, here at Red Gaming Tech, your source for your daily dose of the latest gaming news. So check back next week for the weekly walkthrough. We've got a hell of a lot of videos coming in the next week from Amata and Paw, as well as updates on the Duke Nukem Let's Play with me. There may also be some extra videos coming as well from me, a walkthrough that I'm planning maybe in the next week or the next couple of weeks. Once Duke LP is over, I'll be starting another LP, which I've already got planned. So lots to come and some very exciting times. So I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. I've been the Kid, and have a good night. And buy GTA now.